something that's often misunderstood is how long it takes to run different types of projects. So I'm going to run you through here just some standard timeframes in terms of various types of property projects. This is not a definitive answer. This is just more, in my experience, how long it takes to do some of these projects. So we'll kick off with the Splitterblock. Splitterblock is where it's a property that has one title but two lots. So you don't have to go through a subdivision process with council. So they're quite fast. If you want to just do land only, i.e. remove a house, split the titles and then sell the land, generally you can get those done within 6 months. Obviously there are factors that make that happen or not, but one of the key factors there that I find is essential is making sure you've estimated how much you think these blocks will sell on the end. By that I mean if you've overestimated and you think they're going to sell for $460 but they're really worth $440 and you hang out trying to get you $460, you can stay on the market, the listing can get stale, and then it'll take you a lot longer to finish the project. So what's really key here is getting your end sale and your exit sale understood. If you want to build on that type of project, then clearly that takes a lot longer. The couple of things here that I find affect that are the design process, so how long you spend in that design process, and then builder selection. So if you decide to design and then go out to tender, that process alone can take a few months, so that can really extend this timeline. Whereas if you've gone into this project and you've got a pretty clear idea on the style and type and size of house that you want, how you want it fitted out, what features it needs to make sure it meets the price in the marketplace that you're trying to achieve, then you can sometimes select your builder up front and work with them so that in the early phases you're very clear on how much it's going to cost and you can get started a lot earlier rather than having to go through that tender process. The other thing is finance. Obviously these days as well, finance is getting a little trickier, so that process in itself can take a couple of months. I'd suggest the 12 months time frame is probably if you're going really well. Now we'll go into subdivisions. So in with subdivisions you need to apply to council for a subdivision approval. So the approval doesn't take as long as the other parts of the project do. So that's something that I think trips people up a little bit. They see that you can get it approved sometimes within weeks. You can get a subdivision approved, but it's then meeting all of the council conditions that come with that approval that take time, and that includes typically putting in a new sewer connection, new water connection, storm water pipes. Sometimes you've got to reinstate footpaths, and there are various conditions that can come out of council that you need to then comply with. Once you've complied with them, then you provide all of the documentation back to council to prove you've complied with the conditions. That often includes what we call as constructed drawings, and these drawings show how the services, sewer, water, stormwater have been constructed, make sure they've been constructed to the proper engineering codes and levels. You compile all that together, and then there's a process called plan sealing, which you submit all that documentation to council, and then once that comes out of council, the plans are sealed, they stamp the plans, and then you go to the titles office and get new titles issued. Just inside those two processes alone can be a couple of months, so that's what really makes that a little bit longer than just a normal splitter block. Obviously, if you want to build in that scenario, then due to the fact that it takes longer to get yourself to the stage where you've got two titles, it takes longer to build. Now, I've put 9 months to subdivide and then sell the land. So I've got a few months in here for allowing for sales. Whereas if you're going to build, obviously, you might be able to build a lot earlier and then come out the other side in around 15 months or so. Now we'll move on to building your own home. This really is a bit of a how long's a piece of string one, because it's obviously going to be determined by what type of home, especially in terms of like site conditions as well, will be a big one. Is it a steep block? Is the access easy or is it difficult? These things will all affect how long it can take you to build your own home, but typically you're going to take a month or two in design at least, and then coming up with the fixtures and fittings and how you want the house to look can often slow people down. But if you're used to it and you kind of prepared early and you know roughly the size and style of house that you want and the fixtures and fittings, you can speed up this early process. And then the two approaches that I find people mostly take is they either go through the design, come up with their plans and the fixtures and fittings, then they go out to multiple builders and do a tender process. Again, that can take a couple of months. The other process that a lot of people follow is to go with a company that provides design and construct services. So that can be a building company where you can go in, they'll do all the design for you, they'll then through their selections, process, and that can speed things up a lot. But clearly, to do that, you need to have a lot of trust in that builder. You need to be confident that the pricing is going to come out, roughly where you want it to. Because if you go through that process and take a month or two, and then it ends up being $50,000 more than you can spend, you've got to start it again. So there are a couple of things there that can trip you up in terms of building your own home. Now we get down to townhouse and unit development. This is the one I think that's mostly misunderstood. People tend to think this takes a lot less time than it actually does. I especially see margin considerations here, where people are considering the profit margins on this project, looking for 17 to 20%, and rejecting, say, this project that's coming in at 13, 14%. The difference is this one's taking 12 months, this one's going to take 24 months. So actually, on a year-on-year return, when you annualise those profits, this could be a better option. But anyway, with townhouse development, you've got a DA process. That's called development approval. This is the part where you get all of your plans and designs done and you submit them to council. I've never seen council not come back with what they call an information request. So they'll come back and ask you for more information that you need to clarify, or they'll request you change things about your plans and your designs. There's typically a back and forth there. The DA submission itself can only be 4 to 6 weeks, but then the back and forth with council, depending on how much you're trying to push the boundaries or not, that could take months. So DA, I find, is anywhere from say 3 to 6 months typically for approval, and then you've got what we call BA, or the building approval process, and that's really taking the DA designs. DA is really concept, BA is really getting into how you will build it. So that involves working drawings, your detailed drawings for all of your construction, and obviously just your civil works and all of that sort of thing. And then there's typically an operational works phase as well, and that's getting approval for that civil design, etc. And then you're here now in a stage where you're ready to start to tender, put it out to builders to get it all priced up. Similar to building your own house, you could go down one of these two paths. Get it all designed, then put it out to tender. That can take a couple of months. Or if you've selected a builder that you're comfortable with, clearly then you can speed it all up. So you tender it, and then you've got the finance process. So clearly, if you have to do pre-sales, that's going to take you a lot longer. If you don't, you can get on and start construction a lot faster. So I find here really the main two areas where you can get delayed is really around council and finance, and I'd have to also say in builder selection would be the other area to keep in mind. So hopefully that's been helpful. We can go into more detail on any of these types of projects and really break down the margins and what's involved. If you're interested in that, put some comments below. I'll also make a note of a few other topics below, and feel free to let me know which ones you'd prefer, and we'll keep doing some more videos. Thank you.